Partnered by Times Influence. The Economic Times Family Business Summit was organized recently in the national capital to create a platform where leading business families of India came together to share their ideas, insights and learnings on how to manage businesses as well as families in the best possible way.
We are hoping that today's summit will help bring further clarity and understanding on various learnings and issues facing family businesses.
The summit covered a wide range of subjects related to family business. The event started with a fireside chat with one of India's leading business families, the Goenkas.
So how are you actually groomed into the family business, Mr. Goenka?
I spent a lot of my formative years with my grandfather, and I used to accompany him to the office and just observe him. And then subsequently it was my father. And then in 1984, I was put in charge of a company called Dunlop India. And that was my indoctrination into the world of business, which I ran for 4 years, and then came CESC.
Mr. Goenka, have you groomed your kids differently from the way in which you yourself were groomed when you came into the business?
I think our families always believed in values, in fair play, and I think these were more important than other issues. We've been taught since we were children not to grow up with a sense of entitlement. Yeah. And I think that's pretty much the way we were brought up. Yeah. So we were given 10 rupees pocket money every month. And my younger cousin, yes, and I, who were 1.5 years apart, shared our clothes. So we had 6 sets of clothes between the two of us. He was much fatter and shorter than me, but so the sizes were somewhere in between, and that's the way we were brought up. Right. I think that's pretty much the way our children were brought up as well. And
Shashwat, in 2013, you suddenly had to take over responsibility for Spencer's retail. What are some of the lessons that you learned?
So I remember initially when like you said, I was thrown into the deep end, I used to have this conversation with Dad where I was like, I don't think I'm ready to do this just as yet. Yeah. But I think it kind of worked out well because being thrown into the deep end, you kind of learn to save yourself and swim. Yeah. From a learnings perspective, I think specific to retail, I think retail is all about the details. You have to get into every line item of revenue, every line item of cost to see where there is scope for improvement. And you have to get the right properties, the right locations, you have to have the right assortment, the right strategy, and each store is very, very different from the other. So not just across cities in the country, but say even within Delhi, for example, a store in GK2 would be very different from a store in Chanakyapuri to a store in MG Road in Gurgaon. They would be completely different. So they could be about 60% similar, but 40% is very, very localized. So I think that would be one of the key things that I've learned is, that's not a one-size-fits-all like the Western world in retail in India. And you have to really get into the details.
Avarna, on a more personal note, how would you describe your parents and your upbringing? And amongst your parents, who was the more indulgent?
I think our upbringing was very conservative for the first few years. I would say negligible indulgence where this was concerned. And all of a sudden, when you turned 15, everything was your choice. I think they sort of had taken a call at some stage that they're going to give you a certain kind of grounding, right, and then leave you to make all the decisions that came your way. Right. So let you fend for yourself, but equip you enough that you can make the right choices. I think that pretty much is most people's aim in life. I mean, you may be going after money or wealth or fame or anything, but eventually the reason you're going after that is so that it gives you happiness or contentment. And something that I've learned from my dad and my grandmom actually is that to smile at someone, you lose nothing. And probably in return, you've given someone that moment of happiness or just a moment of feeling good about themselves. So that's something that I've learned from both of them, and I think I want to stick with that for the rest of my life.
Thank you, Mr. Goenka. Thank you, Aparna. Thank you, Shashwat. It's a pleasure.
Well, we now move ahead to our next session, which is a keynote address, for which I would like to invite Mr. Onkar Eskanwar, Chairman and Managing Director of Polo Tires, to kindly share the insights on why family businesses are better equipped to go global.
There's an inherent pull in the family businesses to expand beyond your own country. The younger generation is usually getting better educated, very often in another country, than the elders. The younger generation travel and have global exposure. They seem to have an idea of the opportunities in the family businesses, traditional domain, or in the new areas. Even where members of the younger generation do not yet have formal leadership role, the family listens and learns from these members, while grooming them to future leadership roles. This listening and sharing culture typically does not exist in the non-family businesses. In the way family businesses seems to have a built-in vanguard who seed the business with new ideas. I think family enterprise is better equipped to look after the global opportunity is due to the long-term outlook taken by most family companies. Thank you.
I would now like to invite upon stage Mr. Gaurav Dalmia, Chairman, Dalmia Family Holdings, to deliver the keynote address on the challenges and advantages of family business in an uncertain world.
There's an Austrian business historian called Hartmut Berghoff, and he found when he studied family businesses that they have emotional attachment. All of you must see that in your own business. They have leaner hierarchies. They are more nimble, which leads to better customer focus and often more efficient operations. On the liability side, what are the weaknesses of a family business? They tend to be less meritocratic. They tend to reward loyalty more than ability often. As a result, middle managements in some of these or many of these family businesses are weaker than they ought to be. They also have key man risks because of the founders playing a role. I have found family businesses typically underinvest in a family charter, thinking it's good to have, but may I propose that is something almost necessary to have. It gives you the flexibility to think about what members of the family may need, and it gives you constraints to take care of some of the idiosyncrasies of family members as well.
Next in the ET Family Business Summit was a panel discussion where the dignitaries discussed on the topic of the family office, trends and opportunities.
Speaking of the good discussion, I think I will direct it first to Gaurav. Do you think that there's a substance to having a family office, or is it really a fashionable name to refer to what always existed?
I think if you're going to have a family office, you have to have a mission. So what is the mission of that entity, whether you call it a family office, whether you call it an investment idea? In our situation, we listed our business back in 1995. And when we listed our business, we made two promises to our shareholders. One was that we would professionalize the business, and the definition of that for us is that we would not allow any family members to have any executive role in the business henceforth. And the second promise we made our shareholders was that we would have a very liberal dividend policy. So at the time, it was 50% of our net profit. And the reason for that is we wanted to give family members visibility on income so that they would never be forced sellers of equity. That created a pool of income that came to the family. And we, as fifth-generation members of the family, decided that we didn't view ourselves as owners. We view ourselves more as custodians that would like to pass this to the next generation and the generation after. And hence, we thought the best way to do that was to take the bulk of that income and reinvest in new businesses.
Gaurav just touched about it, about what leads a family to set up a family office. Would you also care to comment on that?
As crude as this may sound, an excess of cash, right? You are looking at different avenues to invest. For us, we've been in the stock market for the longest time, and now we're looking at startups as an investment class to invest. So we've built a portfolio of 60 startups that we've invested in. Somebody may choose to venture into real estate, somebody may choose to venture into private equity. That's a decision that the family makes based on the quantum that they want to invest.
I appreciate Apurva's candid thought process on excess of cash, but it's that, but it's also adding structure, right? I think that's the key. What it does is it allows for a structured, methodical thought process attached to deployment of capital, deployment of capital based on what you expect. There are a few European family offices who think 50 years ahead as to what should be the cash flow. How do you expect? That's the method, the structure is why I think family offices come to being. Of course, it does come from the fact that there is an excess of cash, and hence how do you deploy it?
In our case, right, we are an early stage venture fund, which is sponsored by the founders or promoters of JSW Group, right? So we, 4 years ago, had an option to set it up as a family office or set it up as a venture fund, wherein we start investing our own capital and then professionalize or use the time frame to build a team, to build a thesis, and then start taking third-party capital. So that's the path that we have taken.
Next, the Economic Times Family Business Summit saw a special address by the chief guest, Suresh Prabhu, Minister of Commerce and Industry and Civil Aviation, who spoke on the importance of family business in the economy.
Today's concept of Family Business Summit, I think you are focusing on how to ensure that family businesses will grow, but at the same time, how will they discharge the legal responsibility when you are incorporated. Even now we have so many different entities. There was a limited liability partnership, LLPs, which were not there because partnership meant you have unlimited liabilities. Individuals, but still we have so many entities possible. But each of these can have family business incorporated into this. And therefore family businesses have a special place in India's economic history. And I think it is also necessary that we should allow these businesses to grow because there is something which happens with family business which is very unique and very different than other businesses. In the next few days, I will share with you good news that already we have improved our standing in ease of doing business. We'll improve it further. But I will also working on a completely different concept. How to improve India's ease of doing business for every district of India. Because some of the family businesses do not operate pan-national. They work through different locations. So if we improve the ease of doing business for every district of India, then obviously India's ease of doing business will improve. I already started working on it. In fact, the work has already started and those willing states have been taken on board. I am sure once I complete this pilot project, all states will be coming to me and telling me, please also include us. And if you can improve ease of doing business of all districts, then the businessmen don't have to worry about many things. Their job will be to do business. So we are doing everything possible on the periphery to make sure that India continues to grow and continues to grow faster. Obviously, it cannot happen without your support. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insights and ideas. And we are now going to have a keynote address by a very special person, a very special and interesting speaker. Some of you know him. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege and honor to invite on stage Mr. Tatvamasi Dikshit, founder, Fabric Family Business Research International Center, to kindly come up on stage and deliver the keynote address on managing family business lessons from the Vedas.
I found the first and greatest gift Vedas talk about to the family business universe is the concept of family. Ayan nijaf paroveti ganana laghuchetasam udara charitanantu vasudhaiva kutumbakam. It basically talks about the us consciousness. This entire universe is your family. All the human beings are part of your family. So in the context of family business, when The key challenges comes into the family is that when there are personal egos are involved, when I don't see everybody as part of me or my extended family consciousness. See, the edifice of the family business is family. If we don't protect and nurture the family, that's where the problem starts to come to the family business. One of the key pillars of the family is values. And every family, what holds the family together is its rich tradition. One of the key aspects of the success of family business is your tradition and culture, and values define the profitability of your family business organization.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we move to our next panel discussion, which is on the inheritors charting new journey.
I am actually quite privileged to have 4 young inheritors with me on stage. Normally, when one thinks of the young people, the adjectives that come to mind are restless, young and restless, fearless. Did you bring any of that into the new businesses?
No, you're quite right. There were a lot of, the business run traditionally. They're very scared to do anything new. I was quite pushing them to do services and, get into painting in a big way. And the management was very afraid. They didn't want to take the risk. So yes, it took me a while to sort of introduce them to getting into services, getting into painting. They, didn't want to, but finally they tried it, they liked it, and now we are quite happily into express painting and painting.
Any of the Akshayas or Sagar, any of you have any experiences?
When I was just getting done with my education and starting to join, I was more open towards understanding the organization first as to what is their strategy, what are their goals, and how they plan to implement things. I did not want to just jump in with my own ideas and change things around immediately. So I took my own time, and I spent a lot of time with my company's advisors, the core teams and all. Of course, down the line also, I was able to interact with a lot of people. And only eventually, after a couple of years, I started implementing certain things. Of course, keeping all my the key advisors and the professionals in loop.
Sagar?
My experience has been a little similar to Akshay's. I was fortunate enough that the day I graduated from college, that was the first day of the start of this new business that I'm now a part of, Adani Green Energy. It started only 3 years ago. So it was, for me, it was an experience of accelerated growth and a lot of building, and it's just an experience of you trying to kind of get your head around and trying to catch up with whatever's happening in the business completely, because there's something new happening every single day. So my first thing was to absorb, learn, and be able to be up to speed with whatever was going on, because we are an extremely aggressive business family. So everything we do big and we do large and fast, this, that. So it was for me to be able to step up to the place where I could kind of be a part of the day-to-day things.
Our family is quite different. After I finished my post-graduation, all of us are encouraged to work abroad. So we worked abroad, then when you come back to India, you're not encouraged to join the family business. So for the first few years, you have to figure your own way out. Work in different companies, try different things. In my own career, I've been in real estate, training, skills, and then finally the university. So first few years, then make sure that you don't join any family business, and even if you do, you join really at the entry level. So you are not really at a position where you can
be fearless
and
or restless,
or be a bull in a china shop.
After witnessing the inheritors share their insights and talking about their journey into the family business, the next panel discussion deliberated on the topic of technology as a strategic growth tool for family business.
I don't think people see technology as an enabler of business today. They actually see it as a core of the business.
They do? Okay.
So it's a no-go situation without technology. I think that's the fundamental shift that's happened in all the customers that we engage with, especially family businesses. I think everybody realizes that it's core of business rather than an enabler of business.
These days,
technology has a wider role to play, and based on the maturity state of any organization, it has a very specific role to play, and that's where the business and technology have to work together. The leadership has to work along with the technology to make those specific decisions. I always say in my organization, being a technologist, the decision about specific technology, what we need to put in the firm, should come in the last. Let's work it out, what exactly we want to solve from technology point of view, and then we'll work it out.
In terms of outcome, what is the outcome that you want?
Absolutely.
Decide that first and then go for that. Absolutely right. Pratham, do you see your previous generation really interested in technologies? You are making all the decisions for the organization?
That's a very valid question. So we have 3 generations working together: my grandfather, my father, and myself. Cool. And when I came back from the US, I went to college in the US. When I came back, the fathers told us, hey guys, you got to own this one department, but also think about how you can create more revenue streams for the parent business. Now what we're focusing on is how do we take those technologies that we have built over the last few years and take them to other universities, right? Other smaller ones or even larger ones where they might not have this privilege of having someone from a business school come in and sort of consult them on how to implement not just ERPs, but take it a step beyond as well.
People don't come in from Wharton or anywhere and in the US only about technology, but it's the other important things. It's the culture, okay, which is the most critical thing that they bring. It is business models of doing the same thing differently, okay, is another critical part. It's the customer-focused and customer experience-focused thinking, which sometimes is lacking in the current scenario. And the important thing then is, fine, if these are what they bring in, then how does you fit technology in the right technologies and in the right way to make them happen? That is the most valuable thing they bring.
So I would now like to invite on stage Mr. Anil Senani, founder of BAF Consultants and an acknowledged expert on family constitution.
In the constitution, defining what it is, what are the major sections, whether it is a written document or it could be unwritten, is it a family understanding or it should be legally binding, why it is required, and when it should be created. So all those important questions before even you embark on the journey of creating it. So defining a family constitution, essentially, saral bhasha mein bole, to it is about your core beliefs about what is life, what is family, what is business, ideals, purpose. So all of us have these ideals. Now, in the Constitution, when you write them, and all of you kind of come together and decide them, you kind of start seeing and I would say enhancing the impact of these day-to-day behaviors. The ideals, how do they impact your behavior? They become the source of the goals for your family and business and the policies and processes which you create.
Teaching a gamut of things about family businesses, the Economic Times Family Business Summit concluded with a vote of thanks by A.S. Rajgopal, CEO NextGen Data Center and Cloud Technologies.
I think the summit actually addressed across breadth. I mean, there are certain takeaways for every type of business that is there. That's amazing. What's also amazing is that, I've got a lot of respect for all the next generation of these large family businesses. Amazing set of people. I mean, I like Akshay saying that, they have they carry the responsibility of the legacy of the business, which is family's legacy. It's an amazing thought process. Very grounded people. I was very, very excited to hear these people. So thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you so much for participating. This is our second year of engagement. We've seen this growing from strength to strength, and I think in coming years, we'll learn much more from this initiative. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Partnered by Times Influence.